You're watching Time Warner Cable's local edition, the Sacramento Report. I'm Jaime Garza, and I'm joined today by Assemblyman Martin Garrick. Thanks so much.
Great to be back.
Boy, you folks busy as always dealing with one thing, and that seems to be the budget. I've spoken to your Democratic counterparts, I've spoken to your fellow Republicans, and from what I can sense at this point, very little common ground.
Well, unfortunately, it seems to be true. We started back on March 23rd, a 100-day countdown towards the constitutional required balanced and responsible budget that should be delivered on June 30th. And my Democratic colleagues have only offered more taxes, which is not realistic in this environment. In the case of the Senate, they offered $5 billion in additional taxes, and the Assembly's suggestion, Assembly Democratic suggestion, was a $9 billion borrowing scheme where they actually securitized or borrowed against the income that is flowing into the recycling program, betting on those people actually paying the recycling fee, but not giving or delivering back the cans and bottles, and thereby the margin or difference is what they were going to mortgage into the future for that $9 billion loan for ongoing expenses, a 20-year loan.
I've been talking to a lot of the Democrats who've said, okay, in the governor's plan here, he wants to cut some very vital programs, and if you cut the programs, you're also cutting jobs, something that California needs. And they've been throwing out a number like 420,000 jobs, saying this is not a time to cut jobs. What's your take on that argument?
Well, first, the governor put forward a proposal that we call the blueprint. That was a responsible approach to a $19.1 billion deficit. We already have 12.6% unemployment in the state of California. But when the Democrats talk about jobs, they're generally talking about government jobs. And now is the time to reduce the size of government. We don't have the money. We have to live within our means. And adding more state employees or increasing their salaries is not what we want to do. We want to reduce all of those, both numbers of employees and salaries.
We're talking social programs, and that seems to be in the forefront a lot of times. The governor says, look, we have to make some big decisions. We need to cut. If I lose my job, I need to cut as well. Is it the fact that we have become so comfortable with all of the money that California had been bringing in that we've overextended ourselves and now we just really have to fasten the belt?
Well, I think like every family and every small business, when you have less income, you've got to make adjustments. That's what's happened with the state of California. We used to have over $100 billion a year in revenue. We're down to about $82 billion. So that's where our $18 to $19 billion deficit arrives at. And we need to tighten our belts, as you just said. Everyone needs to make some sacrifices, and we need to reduce expenditures.
I feel like I've had this conversation before during the last budget negotiations and before that, and a lot of taxpayers are probably thinking at home, and I've heard them tell me this personally, is it's business as usual in Sacramento. When are these lawmakers going to put the budget, make it a priority? Is it a priority, or are there so many other things on the side we don't know about that this comes at the last second?
Well, that's exactly why we started on March 23rd with that 100-day countdown, trying to recognize the fact we have a constitutional obligation and making it a priority. That's why we have put forward, and the governor has put forward, this blueprint that addresses that budget deficit and not raising taxes. When you don't have the revenue, you can't keep spending. You've got to live within your means.
Taxpayers not real happy with the folks in Sacramento. Do you think we're going to see some major changes in terms of the upcoming election, in terms of who winds up here and who winds up back in Washington?
Well, I think that there'll definitely be some changes. We have two candidates running for governor now after the primary, so we know who they are, and I'm looking forward to a Republican governor to lead this state. And also more Republicans in the Assembly who will bring common sense, reason, respect, and responsibility to a budget process.
I think we'll end it right there. Assemblyman Martin Garrick, thank you so much, and thank you at home for watching Time Warner Cable's local edition. And don't forget, you can watch this interview as well as others on Time Warner's My Government on Demand, and you're going to find that on Channel 1. Make it a good one.